Vidura. So there is something in connection to Vidura that I forgot to tell you. After the Sabha, after everything is decided that these people should go to Aranyavasa, right? Kunti is old now. Kunti is kind of catching up on her age. So they don't want Kunti to go to Aranya and go through all those hardships. So what Vidura says is, I will have her in my residence, in my house, and I will do. It's a blessing on me, and I will perform puja to her on every day for the next 13 years. This is my. It's a blessing, and it's a showering upon me that I got this kind of an opportunity. So for the next 13 years, Kunti Devi is living with Vidura. Yeah, yes, Atharva, go on. Kunti, okay, just to put perspective, at this point of time, when the Aranyavasa started, Arjuna was 60-year-old. 60? Yes, Arjuna was 60. 60. What? Yep. And so is Krishna. So just for a rough calculation, keep adding 2 years to Bhima and maybe another couple of years to Dharmaraja. Dharmaraja is around 64 years. Nakula and Sahadeva are probably 58, 57, 58-ish. And Kunti, just add maybe 20 years or 22 years on top of 64. 88, 90. Back in Dwapar Yuga, did people live long lives? Oh yeah. By the time of this particular Kurukshetra, right? Kurukshetra happens 13 years after whatever we are talking right now. So at the time of Kurukshetra, Arjuna was about 72, 73-ish. Bhishma, eldest of all, is 140 years. Bhishma's age was Bhishma was 140 years. So this is a very interesting topic. Thanks you brought it up. I was listening to a podcast, and in that podcast, the interviewer, the person who was conducting this, asked the guest a question. So right from the birth of Bhishma until the grandson of Pandavas is Janamejaya. The entire time frame is about 300 years. So the story that we are talking spans from the birth of, it starts at the birth of Bhishma, right? We started almost at the point of where Bhishma is born to Shantanu and Ganga. So from that time onwards, until there is a king called Janamejaya, and Janamejaya is the grandkid of Pandavas. Until that period, it is 300 years. Yeah. What age does Bhishma, Arjuna, Dharmaraja all die? Okay, so Bhishma dies at around 141 or something like that. Between 140 and 141 is when Bhishma Niryana happens. And Krishna's life is about 107 to 108. Between 107 and 108. Similarly, Arjuna's also. Arjuna probably lived for another couple of years after Krishna Niryana happens. So they are about ballpark about 110 years, maybe. What about Dharmaraja? That's what I'm saying. If you add 2 years to Krishna's, Krishna is alive. His age at the time of his passing away is 108. So after 2 years, all these people go to Swargarohana. So that is when they leave their mortal bodies. So at that time, Arjuna is about 110. Just keep adding 2 years. You'll probably see Dharmaraja at 114 or 115. Okay, so after the Kurukshetra war happens, they rule for 36 years. Okay? Yeah. Okay, let's come back to the story. Yeah. But it's a very good question, and thank you. Yes.
Since Arjuna's
take this and ask.
Since Arjuna's right now 60 years, then does he feel younger than he usually
Okay, we are talking about Dwapara Yuga. Dwapara Yuga at 60 is considered as time of their youth. Like how we used to feel in 25s is how they felt at 60. See, the most ferocious acts are yet to happen, right? Until now, you have only seen the teaser or the trailer of the actual picture. So the Kurukshetra is where everybody shows their potential with respect to their physical abilities and all of that. So at the age of 72, all this 70 between 70 and 80 is when these people indulged in most ferocious wars. So they had that kind of strength at that point of time because the lifespan was say 150 years or 120 years. 60 is right middle age, right? Yes.
How come people in Kali Yuga live so short, like 8 years?
The lifespan of people has been declining. In Satya Yuga, they used to live even longer. I don't know, maybe 200, 250 years, I don't know. Yeah, the lifespan has been coming short. Rama time also, the lifespan was very long. Dasaratha. No. That is the way they said that. Okay, so I said this to children when we were talking about Ramayana that in one of the verses, this guy Dasaratha says that I have lived for 60,000 years and in my 60,000 years of life. But what it actually means is he actually is talking about his entire dynasty's time frame. So Ikshvaku dynasty's length of their dynasty, what they ruled was 60,000 years at that point of time. And it is extremely interesting when these kind of people, I follow a guy called Nilesh Oak. He does a lot of research with respect to the timelines and these things of Ramayana and Mahabharata. So have you ever heard about Mount Toba explosion? You've heard, right? So Mount Toba explosion, Mount Toba was a volcano in Indonesia. That explosion happened 70,000 years back. So 70,000 years back this happened, and there was an instant ice age across the globe because of that. So it happened in Indonesia, and a lot of from what I hear from different podcasts and lot of other sources, there were only 300 people, 300 human beings left after that Toba explosion. And there is a place called Jwalapuram in Kurnool district, which shows the utensils or the kind of tools that were used in the layers of earth. If you go below the layers of earth, you see some kind of tools in one layer, and above that, one second Atharva, above that you see a huge ash layer. That is a Mount Toba explosion, and you again see those kind of tools above that layer. So it means that there were people living in that area. Hold on, Atharva, go on mute. I'll give you an opportunity. Wait. There were people living before Mount Toba explosion and after Mount Toba explosion also. And this is the evidence that there was this civilization was a continuous civilization. Yes, Atharva. Yeah.
Did Mount Toba explosion in Dwapara Yuga?
No. It happened probably in Kruta Yuga, the first Yuga.
Kripa Yuga?
Kruta or Satya Yuga. Kruta Yuga or Satya Yuga. So it was okay. Now connecting this back to that 60,000 years thing, what Dasharatha said, right? Ikshvaku dynasty came into existence after Mount Toba explosion. Right? That is what it means. Is anybody understanding anything? Yeah? No? Yes? Good. Okay. So that is okay. Coming back to the lifespans and everything, right? We spoke about the lifespan of all these people at the time of war, what it is and what it is. Okay. Going back to the story, Vidura offers to take care of Kunti. With a lot of respect, he does that. He's not doing it like, it's okay, I will keep her at my place. He's not doing that. With a lot of respect, he's considering this to be his a blessing upon him to be able to take care of Kunti for the next 13 years. So that is the level of respect he has got towards his sister-in-law, right? She's his sister-in-law. Then and it is very, very interesting to think about or to listen to what Kunti says to Draupadi. Kunti tells Draupadi, and Kunti praises Draupadi. Kunti loves her to and respects Draupadi she has a lot of regard for her. So she's very sad. She cries. She tells that you are this kind of a person who is born from Agni directly, and you are going through so much of pain and suffering. And her heart melts looking at Draupadi. And she says, "Take care of my sons, especially the younger one, Sahadeva. He's such a naive person. He doesn't know, he doesn't even know that he should ask for food when he's hungry. Please take," as if she hands over a 2-year child to someone, right? That is how she does that. The conversation between these two people is. So because it is to say that the youngest one always attracts a lot of attention in the family. They think that the entire family thinks that the younger one never grows up, right? The fact of the matter is they grow up, but people don't realize that they have grown up. So that's something that is very interesting when you read that. Because Sahadeva is also a warrior. He has gone to the south direction, and he has won the entire south direction, right, at the time of Rajasuya. Okay, now coming back to present. So Vidura says that they are very comfortable. The Vidura tells Dhritarashtra, that Pandavas are very comfortable. Don't worry about them. But they're comfortable. That is why this guy is worried, right? Then in that scene as well, and Duryodhana says, "Come on, uncle, you always praise them, no matter what, no matter where they are. They are in forest, and you're trying to sugarcoat everything and tell my dad that they're very happy. It's not even possible. Dad, don't even listen to this guy. He's always like this." And they send no, not at this point, at a later point. Okay, this happens, and then they go back to their drawing room again. Duryodhana, Dushasana, Karna, and Shakuni. They go back, and Karna suggests a plan where he says that, see, now is the right time. They do not have anybody else with them. They don't have an army. They are there with a bunch of Brahmins, and there are 5 of them, and they probably have another maybe 15 to 20 army men along with them. Now is the time that we should go attack and kill all of them. That is what Karna says. And Duryodhana, Shakuni, Dushasana, they're all into it. They really love this idea, and they start preparing for it. And Vedavyasa, who is somewhere in Himalayas, he with his divine vision, he looks at Pandavas what they are doing. He looks at Kauravas what they are doing. He sees that Duryodhana is hatching these kind of plans, and he immediately goes to Hastinapura. He tells the Dhritarashtra, and he also tells all 4 of them not to be behaving like this. And they don't listen to Vedavyasa. They say they just ignore Vedavyasa's words. Then Vedavyasa says there is a Muni called Maitreya Muni who is coming, and he will tell you what the next course of action is, and he goes away. I'm not giving you a very detailed account of what is happening. I'll just scratch the surface of the conversation that happens with Maitreya Muni. Maitreya Muni, what he does is, he comes and he tells the Kauravas that this is not the right course of action for you. Change your ways. At least if you change your ways now, you will live longer. Otherwise, after 13 years, there is nothing but your death. Then Duryodhana insults him. Duryodhana, when Maitreya Muni is talking, he interrupts him, giggling, and he is doing with like this with his feet, and he is making sounds with his thighs and all of that. After looking at that, Maitreya Muni curses him, saying that one day in the war, you will not be able to stand straight because of your broken hip bone. So this will happen to you. And he curses, and it is the same thing that Bhima said, right? I will crush your thigh when in a war one day. That is what he says. So, in essence, what is happening is these people are getting a lot of curse and they're attracting a lot of negative energy and negative power towards them. Whereas being in the forest, being in the company of so many Brahmins and going through so much of Veda, Patana and everything, they are attracting a lot of positive energy. So that is, in essence, that is what is happening. Give me one.